Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Daisy. Today, as you guys saw from the title, we are going to be reading my subscribers' spooky stories. So grab your snacks, grab your cobija, and let's get straight into these spooky stories. Hey Daisy, my name is Ashley, and this story I'm about to share involves my older sister and me. It all began around 8 years ago when my foster mother asked my older sister, Alejandra, to dog sit while she and my foster dad vacationed in Lake Tahoe. We always sensed an unsettling atmosphere in that house. It didn't feel welcoming. The energy was oppressive, and we often felt as though someone was watching us. When my foster parents purchased the house in the 80s, they felt compelled to have it blessed by a priest because of its unsettling vibe. On the day of the incident, we arrived at their place around 6 p.m. There was a beautiful sunset piercing through their window, lighting up the entire dining room. When they left the house, we made some popcorn and decided to watch a movie. By that point, night had fallen. During the movie, we began to hear creaky noises. It sounded like when you walk into a very old house and it creaks. This creaking was coming from the kitchen onto the dining room and headed our way, which was the living room. We heard footsteps and it seemed like they were coming closer and closer to us. By this time, both Alejandra and I were freaking out. The dogs too seemed to sense the unease, barking like never before. Unable to shake our fear, we decided to get out of the house with our dogs. Once safe, we immediately phoned our foster parents and told them what happened. They had said that a man had lived in the house during the 1900s, and he was very alone during that time, that he died alone in the house. My foster parents told us that they heard him almost all the time. I was freaking out because they never told us their house was haunted. They said that he was lonely and just wanted some company. He showed up mostly during family gatherings, but I found it weird that the ghost was showing up after the house had been blessed. Well, about a year after that eerie evening, I stumbled upon an old black and white photograph in the garage. Judging by the frame and the photo style, it's likely dated back to the 1910s or 1920s. The ghost that's haunting my foster parents' house is the same human hanging on their garage wall. I know this because when my foster parents bought the house, they had decided to remodel the garage and found the picture and decided to hang it on the wall out of respect. The man seemed very serious in the photo and not smiling. Despite his serious demeanor in the picture, he seemed harmless. I haven't heard any more about him since, but I hope he's found peace. Hello there, Daisy. My name is Eric from Indiana. It started when I was a young kid, 12 years of age. My mom had just bought a new house. Upon moving in, everything was fine, but I couldn't shake a feeling that weighed on me every time I entered the new home. I would come home from school and watch a show called Paranormal Encounters, real-life events of other people, and I was so intrigued by this. As this cycle continued, one day, after school, I sat down to watch the show. That's when a small ball that was in front of me rolled towards me, hitting my foot. I looked at this, and instead of being scared, I was intrigued. I would go around the house with a phone recording videos, asking if anyone was there. Well, I never captured anything, but small things would happen, like vases falling off tables. I would hear knocking, small giggles, and my name being called. But I eventually got used to it, so I never truly felt fear. However, a year later, on June 23, we were visiting back home. All our family was still there, and my cousin was shot and killed. Unfortunately, I witnessed him pass away and held him until the police and ambulance arrived. I was devastated. Days and weeks passed and I couldn't shake the image of him with blood on his lifeless body. I began to pray to God to please let me see him one more time. I promised I would do anything he wanted if he granted me this. But despite my prayers, I never saw him. At 13, I grew angrier by the day. I did something drastic, and though I'm not proud of it, I ended up asking the devil. For those who don't believe in the paranormal, it's real. Sure enough, after making this request, I saw my cousin just 2 months later. My cousin appeared to me throughout my house, and I would cry as I saw him, even if he would disappear in seconds. I was just full of joy. Remember the activity I mentioned in the beginning? The knockings, the giggles, and random objects falling? Well, all that intensified as time went on. And my cousin, well, he kept showing up. But he started to almost look like a dead cousin. By this, I mean his face was slowly deteriorating, looking more like a monster instead of being full of life like when he first appeared. This is when fear started to kick in. At 16, I came home from a party. I began to help my mom pick up. She's a caterer. That is when I saw a flickering fire coming from the top of the electric post we have in the backyard. Beside it was a dark figure waving at me. I quickly ran back to my mom, but it was gone by the time she came to the spot I was at. As we walked into the house, there was a ray of light coming through our window from our main living room. The ray of light shined through an opening of the curtain, lit up a section of our kitchen wall. My mom had a creepy doll she kept on a stand, and as we entered the house, I had seen the shadow of the doll get up and get back into the stand. I even heard the clunk sound from the glass stand table. I didn't tell my mom, but that doll would speak to me. And mind you, the doll had no functions to talk. It wasn't a toy doll. It would say, "See you later," when I would leave in the morning for school, and say, "Good night," as I got ready for bed. I always had my door closed at night, but on the other side of the door, I would hear my name being called. I eventually put this doll away and never brought it out again. Well, fast forward a few years later, my daughter's mother is now living with me at my mom's house. She was pregnant, laying in bed. She shot up from fear and ran to grab me, but wouldn't tell me, or couldn't tell me. It was like the fear had overtaken that she couldn't speak. We had to take her to the hospital. She began having bad stomach pains. It wasn't until we got to the hospital that she told me what happened. In tears, she told me that when she was lying in bed, she heard the name of my unborn daughter being called, a name she hadn't told anyone, including me. As she was focusing on this voice, a loud bang from our closet sounded, and all the bedroom windows and the door to the room opened and closed at the same time. Of course, I believed her, but this brings me to my last traumatic event that truly scarred me. The most traumatic event occurred years after this. We had separated and I had joined the army. I found solace in the church, but the paranormal activity worsened at home. I woke up with scratches and would hear growling coming from behind me. We didn't even own a dog. Well, for a week, I'd wake up at exactly 3 a.m. One Sunday night after I got home from church and went to bed. Later that night, I woke up again at 3 a.m. I had this strong urge to stay awake, almost like my tiredness just vanished. This night, I had left my door open, so it was wide open, having a full view of my mom's room. I began to see a very slow figure of a boy coming out from the hallway. At this point, I'm thinking I'm seeing things. So I sit up on my bed and really focus. The hallway was so dark already, but this figure was so dark it was clear to see. It slowly walked, turning its back to me, and began walking into my mom's room. As I'm sitting there watching this for what seems like at least 2 minutes now, it suddenly stops in its tracks right at the entrance of my mom's door and turns around slowly and begins to walk towards me. I'm frightened by this point, but I keep staring, and it stops at my entry. It doesn't come in. Instead, it stares at me with an all dark, featureless face, and out of nowhere, its neck just tilts back. The eyes were very round circles and a huge mouth, just radiating a green glow out of each eye and mouth. I quickly put the covers over me as I laid there terrified. Now I can feel a step on the bed as though it was going to stand on it. I quickly called for my mom. That is when I hear the words, "You're all mine," as it just vanished when my mom burst through the door, turning the light on. She said when she entered the room, I was so pale. The following week, the same thing happened. I continued waking up at 3 a.m., always feeling a presence behind me, but never daring to look. After that, I turned to Jesus, and the disturbances ceased. My daughter, her mother, and I became closer than ever. I believe that demons and ghosts are real, but nothing is more powerful than Jesus. The devil is real, and I hope people believe that and never dive into that world. Howdy Daisy, I have a crazy story about what the doctors say is sleep paralysis. They say it's something that is just in her dreams. Well, one night I was asleep with my ex-wife. I don't know what time it was, but I woke up as I heard my bedroom door open. I didn't think anything of it, as my 3-year-old would get out of her bed to come sleep with us. I was laying there waiting for her to try to climb into the bed so I could pull her up. I felt pressure at the bottom of the bed by my feet, and I tried to get up to grab my daughter. I couldn't move though. I was stuck there on the bed, freaking out. I thought I was having a stroke at first, but then I felt the sensation of someone crawling up to me. I'm still thinking it's my daughter at this moment when I feel like someone just climbed on me. I couldn't see anyone, but I started hearing a type of demonic growl. At that point, I'm freaking out, trying to move, trying to scream for my ex-wife. The only thing I was able to do was move my eyes to look around. I started praying in my head. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what was going on, as I had never even heard of anything like this. As I was praying, the sensation of something being on me left, and I finally could move. Right when I was getting up, my ex-wife jumped over and grabbed me. She was holding on to me so tight, crying. I asked her what was wrong, and she told me everything I had just experienced, minus hearing the door open and thinking my daughter was there. She just felt something on her, which caused her to wake up, and she heard the growling as well, as she couldn't move. It was so crazy that it happened to us at the same time. People would try to say it was this scientific sleep paralysis, but I ask if it's true, then how did we both dream the same exact thing? My name is Garla. I worked at a Catholic school where my son attended. I was the after-school director and worked the 2:30 till 6 p.m. shift, and on Wednesdays I worked from 12:30 till 6 p.m. Since I was the closing teacher, it was my duty to close the school down after the last child left the after-school program, so my son would stay with me till the shift ended. I always felt something was watching me as I walked down the halls, especially in the women's and men's restroom. On this particular day, it was Friday afternoon. The last kid had left at 5:30, so I started to clean the tables and put the chairs away. When it was time to go check the restrooms, I was hesitant, but I had to go. My son and I went together as we walked and checked the restrooms. My son was frozen and petrified. I felt a cold chill run down my spine. My son told me he saw a 6-foot tall black figure with red eyes and sharp teeth standing outside the restrooms. I was petrified seeing my son so scared. I locked up and we left immediately. So that was it for today's video. Hopefully these stories put you guys into the spooky spirit of Halloween. Let me know what you guys are going to do. ¿Qué van a hacer? Your girl's a chismosa and you guys know that. So let me know in the comments down below. What are you guys going to do? I'm probably just going to give out some candy and put some spooky cumbias in the background. But whatever you guys do, I hope you guys have fun and be safe, of course, as always. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and I hope to see you guys all in my next one. Bye.